An episode of This One Time in Kankakee from the WVLI Podcast Network will start right after this. Listen to all of today's local news in one place.
Checking your WVLI news, I'm Rob West.
The WVLI News Update brings you the day's news in 10 minutes or less. Clear, credible, and on your schedule. Follow now wherever you get your podcasts or at WVLI927.com and click on air. It's all part of the new WVLI Podcast Network. The voices you trust beyond the dial.
As we all live longer, age really is just a number. But retirement is so much more than one. Hi, I'm Adam Elroy, your Kankakee Edward Jones financial advisor, and I want to know what retirement means to you. Together, we can look at the big picture and make a strategy to help you reach your goals. Because you can't prepare for the unexpected if you don't know where you're headed. Call me at 815-932-8484 or visit edwardjones.com to get started today. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This one time in Kankakee, the village of Bonfield banned Rhummy. Yes, I'm talking about the card game. Welcome to This One Time in Kankakee from the WVLI Podcast Network. I'm Jake Lamore. Late January 1938, the middle of the Great Depression. Across Kankakee County, a bitter winter wind sweeps across the frozen farmland. In the tiny village of Bonfield, home to just 116 souls, life is quiet. Maybe a little too quiet. Bonfield was, by design, a place of profound morality. It was a community without a railroad to bring in trouble from the outside world. It was a village with strict blue laws on the books. Ordinances that forbade hard liquor, beer, dance halls, and even pool rooms. On Sundays, the crack of a baseball bat wouldn't be heard. That was illegal too. This was, by all accounts, a sinless village. But beneath that placid, righteous service, something was simmering. A quiet descent, a gathering storm that was about to put little Bonfield in newspapers across the country. And it all started in the one place in town a man could find a bit of company, the local ice cream parlor. Nearly every day, a group of local men would gather at the parlor, not for a scoop of vanilla, but for a game of cards. Specifically, a variant of Rhummy they called Rhummy with an H. Now, it's important to understand what kind of card game this was. This wasn't a shadowy backroom poker game with stacks of cash on the table. This was just Rhummy. If you grew up in the 20th century, chances are you played it with your grandparents at the kitchen table. It was one of America's great pastimes, a simple game of collecting and matching cards. The rhythm of the game, the shuffle, the deal, the quiet snap of a card being played was the backdrop for conversation and camaraderie. It was less about winning or losing and more about passing the time with friends, especially on a cold winter's day in 1938. And the stakes reflected that. They were hardly high roller territory. They were playing for a dime a hand. According to the players, the most any man could lose in a single night of intense play was about $1. To them, it was a harmless pastime. But not everyone saw it that way. Trouble began when a number of village housewives lodged a formal complaint with the town board. They claimed they were fast becoming Rhummy widows.
A Rhummy Rebellion brewed in the sinless village of Bonfield last night.
That's from a United Press wire service story that ran on the front page of the Kankakee Republican News on January 27, 1938. The complaint from the housewives was all it took. The village leadership, led by Mayor Rubin Orwig and his 6 aldermen, decided to act. They believed these card games, as they put it, were giving the town a bad name. And so, they did what they did best. They made another law. The mayor and his board officially put rummy on the blue law list. At first, the players thought it was a joke. An ordinance against playing rummy for dimes? It seemed absurd, but village officials were deadly serious. Justice of the Peace Leslie Yates, the man tasked with enforcing the law, made the village's position crystal clear.
Anyone caught in the act of playing rummy will be fined $10 plus costs.
$10. In 2025, that doesn't sound like much. But in 1938, $10 was a serious penalty. It was the equivalent of over $200 today. For the men gathered around the card table, who might lose $1 on a bad night, a $10 fine was a devastating prospect. This was no joke. Initially, Mayor Orwig and Justice Yates had a plan to ease the village into the new era of cardless morality. They were going to withhold enforcement until February 1st to let the so-called rummy addicts taper off. But the story was already getting attention. The fuss, it seems, was too much for the mayor.
There's been too much fuss about this already.
The grace period was canceled. The ban was immediate. The rummy games were over. Or so they thought. The news of the immediate ban did not sit well with the players. The United Press correspondent, a man named Phil Newsom, was in Bonfield to cover the strange story, and he found the de facto leader of the Rhummy rebels holding court in his shop. It was William Brohm, the village barber. Brohm was incensed. Surrounded by the familiar smells of talcum powder and shaving cream, he made his stand.
Hey, they can't do this to us. I think there's something in the Constitution about it.
The reporter, perhaps sensing a dramatic escalation, asked Brohm if this meant the players would resort to creating rummy speakeasies, a clear reference to the recently repealed era of prohibition. Brohm wouldn't go that far, not yet, but he was certain that the dyed-in wool rummy players of Bonfield would find a way.
We can go across the township line and play if we have to.
The epicenter of the controversy was, of course, the ice cream parlor. The owner, Leo Regal, found himself in a peculiar position. He was caught between his customers and the law. When the United Press correspondent asked him about it, Regal was quick to downplay the severity of the games. He claimed the whole uproar started with an outsider.
It started when some slicker from Kankakee came here and then went back and told about a big game in Bonfield. He told around about winning $250 in one game. Truth was, he lost 50 cents, and his wife squawked when he asked her for money. No one ever lost more than 50 cents or so.
But then, Regal said something surprising. You'd think a business owner would be upset about the village board driving away his daily crowd. But Regal told the reporter that he rather favored the new ordinance.
All those guys do is sit here all day and play. They never spend any money.
So there it was. The village was officially, legally rummy-free. The mayor was satisfied. The housewives were, presumably, no longer widows to the game, and the owner of the establishment where it all took place, well, he didn't seem to mind either. It appeared to be a decisive victory for the moral authority of Bonfield. But the story wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The very next day, January 28th, the Kankakee Republican News published a follow-up. The Rhummy rebels had not surrendered. They had simply disappeared.
A Rhummy Rebellion smoldered underground today as outlawed card players gathered around their table in a secret hideaway.
The paper even managed to get a quote from inside the secret game, a moment of pure frustration from one of the outlaws.
I had 3 pairs on the deal and didn't get a spread.
The reporter noted that a dime was paid out to cover the loss. The game and the stakes were the same. Only the location had changed. The players had refused to bow to Mayor Orwig. The sinless village now had a secret sin. The barber, William Brohm, was once again their defiant spokesperson. When asked about the ordinance, his resolve hadn't weakened one bit.
We're still playing. We're not doing anything about the ordinance, just letting it ride along. They'll come around to agreeing with us.
The reporter pressed him. Where were these secret games being held? Brohm's reply was coy.
The place? Well, now that's a secret. It's kind of a private place.
The article concludes by noting that the barber went off to join his cronies behind drawn shades and locked doors in the speakeasy card room. And then, silence. So who won? Did the Rhummy rebels hiding behind locked doors eventually win back their right to play in the open? Did the constant, quiet defiance wear down the mayor and the village board? Or did the protectors of Bonfield's morality triumph? Did the threat of a $10 fine finally stamp out the last dime-a-hand game in the village? The answer, it seems, is lost in time. A search of the Kankakee Republican news for all the succeeding weeks and months of 1938 turns up nothing. Not a single mention of the Rhummy Rebellion, of Mayor Orwig, or the defiant barber William Brohm. The story had made the front page. The tale of a sinless village and its cardboard speakeasy simply vanished from the public record. It remains a perfect little snapshot of a time and a place. A small-town drama that, for 2 days in the winter of '38, was famous. We're left to imagine those men huddled in a back room, the shades drawn against the cold, whispering their bids and dealing their hands, rebels in their own quiet way. This story was researched and written by Jack Clacy, a former reporter for the Daily Journal. You can find more of his fantastic dives into local history on his weekly blog, which you can find by visiting the Kankakee County Museum website at kankakeecountymuseum.com. This episode included performances from Denny Case as the 1930s radio news narrator, Mike Tamano as William Brohm, Bill Dyke as Leo Regal, Rob West as Justice Yates, Chris Nichols as Mayor Orwig, and Greg O'Neill as the card player. I'm Jake Lamore. Thanks for listening to This One Time in Kankakee on the WVLI Podcast Network. Please be sure to share this episode with a friend or family member you think might be interested. And be sure to leave us a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts.